Hey nurses, if you are dreaming of moving to Australia, you've probably heard that employer sponsorship is a fast track to permanent residency. But is it really that simple? Spoiler alert, it's a bit more complicated. I'm Ria Favole. I am the founder of SOLVi Migration, an Australian immigration law firm. And for years, I have been helping internationally qualified nurses just like you to cut through the confusion and secure their future in Australia. Today, we're going to get real about employer-sponsored permanent residency and what it actually truly involves. So you're not blindsided by the details that no one tells you about. You may be thinking, once I get sponsored, I'll just sit back and wait for the permanent residency. Not quite. There are a few things that you need to understand before you start packing your bags and throwing an application in. So let's grab a cup of tea and dive into this journey together. Hello everyone, and welcome to the 23rd episode of Making Australian Migration Easy. In today's episode, I'll walk you through, firstly, why getting your AHPRA registration sorted first is crucial to your success. Secondly, what employer sponsorship actually covers and what it doesn't. Thirdly, the truth about your path to permanent residency, including why most nurses start with a temporary visa and what happens even if you secure permanent residency right away. I've seen so many nurses rush into the process thinking that landing a job with an offer of sponsorship is the golden ticket to Australia. And yes, whilst it is a significant step, I've watched people's plans crumble when they realise they aren't registered to practice as a nurse here yet. I've learned that the real key to unlocking this journey is getting the AHPRA registration done right at the start. Trust me, without it, you're putting the brakes on your own dreams. No one is going to sponsor you without it. Let me show you how to avoid this pitfall. Before you even think about employer sponsorship or permanent residency in Australia, you've got to get registered with AHPRA. This is a non-negotiable. Employers in Australia will not sponsor you if you're not fully registered to work in the healthcare system. This means proving your qualifications, meeting the English language requirements, and showing that you've got the experience to match. Here's the reality. Without your AHPRA registration, even the most generous employer is not going to hire you. It's your responsibility to ensure your registration is complete before applying for any sponsorship. It's a process, yes, but think of it as the foundation of everything. Without this first step, your entire migration plan will fall apart. So don't overlook this and get your AHPRA registration sorted before you even think about looking for a job in Australia. Employer sponsorship doesn't cover everything. Now, let's bust one of the biggest myths that your employer will pay for everything. While there are some employers who may cover part of your costs, like certain legal fees with the visa application process, most of the financial burden actually falls on you. Legally, the visa application fees is your responsibility. So are the health checks, English language tests, AHPRA registration, skills assessment. They're actually your legal responsibility. So thinking you're getting a sponsor doesn't mean they're covering all of those costs. And here's something you need to keep in mind. Visa application fees are non-refundable. That means that if anything goes wrong, like you didn't have the right English scores, or your partner didn't have the right English scores, or anyone didn't meet the health requirements, you need to be financially prepared to take on these costs yourselves. Employers are already spending a lot on things like labour market testing, nominations, sponsorship, legal fees, recruitment. So don't expect them to foot the whole bill. You're going to need to invest in yourself and set aside a dedicated migration budget so you're ready to handle these expenses without stress. Now, let's talk about permanent residency, because that's the end goal for many of you. Most nurses will start on a temporary visa, like the subclass 482, or some in regional areas on the 494, and that's perfectly normal. Think of this as your probation period. It gives you time to prove yourself and show your value, and then transition to permanent residency. That's why employers prefer it. But what if you secured the permanent residency right away? Well, you need at least 3 years of proven clinical experience and to be specialist. But here's something you may not know. Even if you did get permanent residency immediately, you must remain with a sponsoring employer in the same occupation for at least 2 years. Yes, you've heard it. That's right, 2 years. This is a condition attached to your visa. You can't just switch jobs the moment you arrive or leave or do anything else you want. This means your employer is still very much invested in your success, and they're going to expect the same level of commitment from you. If you've got over 3 years of specialised work experience in a country with similar health standards, like you've been nursing in, say, the UK, US, Ireland, Canada, Hong Kong, or New Zealand, you might be eligible to jump straight to permanent residency. But remember then, you still have a 2-year commitment that remains. So, what have we learned today? First, you need to get your AHPRA registration sorted before anything else. And I'm going to drop a link in with a little bit of a discount for you because we have a DIY nursing registration course for you. Second, be financially prepared to cover your own migration costs. Employers aren't your personal piggy bank. And third, whether you start on a temporary visa or secure permanent residency right away, be ready to stay with your employer being sponsored for at least 2 years, if not longer. This is part of the process, but with the right preparation, you can absolutely succeed. If you're feeling ready to take the next step, don't let myths and half-truths derail your plans. Please book a paid legal consultation with us at SOLVi Migration. That's www.solvi.com.au. Let's make sure you get on the right path from the start. Together, we're going to make sure your dream of living and working in Australia is secured. And of course, remember, we do have that DIY nursing registration course to get you started if you haven't already arranged your AHPRA registration and this is the path you wish to pursue. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Making Australian Migration Easy. I hope this has been helpful for you to understand how you can go on to secure an employer-sponsored visa down under. Please like, subscribe, share, follow, and let us know in the comments what other questions you would like to have covered in future episodes.